Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another roadmap. Good evening, Adam. How are you doing tonight?
Very good indeed. Yeah, thank you for having me back.
I know this is what your first roadmap of 2022.
It is, yes. I was actually looking forward to early January, but then Matt thought, he wanted to steal the limelight. So
Yeah, absolutely. So we just kept you on the back burner until you had something to talk about, right?
yes, yes. Although me being delayed kind of goes with the work that I do being delayed as well. So there's kind of a similarity
Okay.
there.
Yes. Yeah. So should we just crack on with it tonight and just go straight
Cool.
into what's happened with this week's roadmap?
Yes, yes. There's been quite a few movements by the looks of
Yeah,
it.
there's been some movements. There've been some additions. It's been a bit of an interesting one, and I think we're still in that period where everybody's getting used to the new layout and trying
Mm.
to perhaps wrap their head around how the time frames of it works and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the key things, and it was a feedback I gave, having been prompted by it from the community, was that why is the preservation crew stuff at the top of the list on the roadmap when actually this is supposed to be a Dovetail Games train sim roadmap, not just a looking back at support roadmap. So yeah, that was a great bit of feedback. Preservation crew's now at the bottom of the list.
It is, and as you mentioned, the layout is somewhat similar to the previous one. We are actually going to change that over time because we definitely heard the feedback there that perhaps the the banners are a bit big. The information underneath is a bit chunky. We've chosen to leave that part in the descriptions for the time being, just until everybody gets used to this format and it makes a bit more sense. And then we'll probably pull that out, and we'll also update the images as well, so that it's a bit less a bit less of an eyesore, should we say?
Yeah, it can get a bit busy.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, did you watch the Festival of Rail over the weekend?
I did. It was mostly the late night streams that I watched, especially what was it, the BG guy? I forget the name. Blue
Blue
Gaming.
Games.
Yeah, I thought he was amazing. I really loved it. I loved the approach. I actually have I've started following him.
Yeah.
Really loved what he was up to. So yeah,
Are,
that's
are,
good. And obviously the elephant in the room being Steam. Amazing.
yes, exactly. So I was going to say that's why I asked you if you'd watched it, because obviously on this week's roadmap we've included all of the details that were announced during the Festival of Rail to the roadmap.
Yes, yeah. I mean, personally, I'm more of a Somerset and Dorset 7F fan, but the Jubilee and the 8F are incredible locomotives, and I think they look fantastic. And we have some real veteran staff that have been working on those at Dovetail. They've had a very long history. They've been hugely excited about bringing
Yeah.
this to Trainsim World, so it's going to be fantastic.
It was incredible to be able to give everybody such a nice first look as well.
No, really, we've the team's been working on this for obviously a while, with Steam being on the roadmap for a while, and yeah, being able to talk about it, or talk about some elements of it at least, does take that pressure off, and everyone's excited.
Yeah. So the way that announcement happened is it is what the community can come to expect for future announcements. Not necessarily that it's going to be in a publisher weekend, or it's going to be in one of our extended streams, but from now on the announcements will be made probably on our social channels or our news posts, and then we will update the roadmap with any information that's shared. So that's what we can expect for the future of new releases.
And was there intention? I saw some discussion about some of the screenshots released during Festival of Rail are not in the article, and vice versa.
Yeah, so some of the screenshots that aren't there, some of them we actually can't share. So any of the reference images, they're not ours to share, so we can't
That's
publish
true.
them. Some of the simulgraph stuff, again, we can't share that. I can't remember the exact reasons, but we're not actually able to upload those. And then if there are any images that don't fall under simulgraph or reference, it's because they're probably being saved for another article.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. So, but I did see that question and I did ask. But yeah, we will share. We will continue to share more images with you. Yeah.
Good forward to it.
So,
Should be good.
on to the roadmap.
Mm,
We have added a Swiss route today,
mm.
and
Yeah,
it's
Rivet Games.
developed by Rivet Games. And you're going to be working more closely with our third parties now, aren't you, Adam?
Yes.
Some of the community have expressed perhaps a bit of hesitation about this route, based off of some of Rivet's previous releases. Can you talk to us about what's changed now you're working with third party? And when I say third party, I mean when you're working with our developers that aren't us.
Yes, so basically the preservation crew is perfectly positioned. We have skills across a lot of the software, not into the core programming and the engine code and things like that, but certainly for developing content such as routes and trains and signaling and gameplay scenarios, timetables, and a lot of the art, so also support for scenario designer and livery designer. So we're perfectly placed to also provide our services to the third parties, to our close partners, where previously they would have had to have submitted support tickets and waited for response from the main team. So what we've done is we've married both the third party operation and the preservation crew side of things together at Dovetail, and that means that, for instance, as some may have seen, the Horseshoe Curve has had to be delayed a bit further, because when we've been looking at that and we've been working with Skyhook in this instance, things just have not come together, or we've not been able to get the results that we're trying to. And, you know, through agreement with Skyhook, we decided to push it back further to make sure it has enough time to be where we want it to be. So
now you said
I
this
can't
is
guarantee that's going to be the case with every release, because sometimes the third party does feel differently, and if they're confident about what they've done, we can sometimes give them feedback, but at the end of the day, it is their product to develop.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say, so obviously you've used the word agreement there when we decided to move the Horseshoe Curve development down. And is this partnership with our third party developers, is it going to be, we're telling them what they do, we're telling them everything they need to meet, and if they don't do it, they're in trouble with Dovetail Games? Or is it very much a case of we're here to help?
We definitely want it to be the latter, but being a publisher and having to meet the requirements of Sony and Microsoft, there is an element that there is a minimum standard we need to meet. And there are aspects that need to have been reached, and milestones and so forth, and they have to be reached by a certain date in order to get things through Microsoft and Sony to be able to release them on the agreed date. So there are lead times that need to be met as well, and that was one thing that happened with Horseshoe, is that the product is coming along nicely. Horseshoe Curve was going great, but it just wasn't going to meet the deliveries that we had to for console. And therefore we didn't want to release on separate platforms separately. So no, we don't want it to be a dictatorship. We don't want it to be, you know, they must do our bidding or anything.
Yep.
But at the same time, certainly with Rivet and Skyhook, for example, they wanted a lot more input and direction from us. So we'd given them a lot of space to go off and do their own thing and try new techniques and new technologies. And they didn't really like being at arm's length.
Yep.
They want to work closer with us. They want to be more involved in our same release schedule, you know, so that when we have a UK, US, German release plan, they want to be in that cycle, as it were. They don't want to be off to one side. So in order to fit in with those arrangements, then there is going to have to be some, here's what you're going to have to work to, or here's some of the things that you're going to have to take on board. So we want to be a lot more closer, but at the same time, we want to ensure that obviously these are external companies to Dovetail Games, and they can make decisions on their own if they feel it's in their best interest. Yeah,
it certainly sounds like the relationship has changed, and like you said, we're working much closer now, and there's from what I've seen, there's definitely more communication going on now as well.
Mm. Yeah, so as I say, because we have that experience with the development of Train Sim World products, routes and trains and so forth, that we're able to offer a higher degree of technical support than the great guys on the third-party team had previously. They are much more suited to the Train Sim 2022 environment, and we saw that we had the capacity on the preservation crew, so we decided a small shuffle round would be a benefit to everybody.
Yeah. And while we're on the topic of the Swiss route, I've seen some people asking today. Obviously, Rivet have given a bit of a hint, and for those of you who are very, very clever and very quick, some of you might have guessed what this Swiss route might be. I'm neither going to confirm nor deny whether or not you are correct. But it does.
Is that an indication that the codes that are used on the roadmap are actually very telling?
It's not actually. So Rivet have provided a sort of, not even a sneak peek, a hint as to what it might be on Twitter. So anybody that's curious, you can go and look at Rivet Games Twitter and try and figure it out for yourself, unless the chat tell you. But we've been asked, why are Rivet Games able to give a hint, but we're not able to give more detail on the roadmap? Now, this could be because of many reasons. One of them being perhaps that the entirety of the route hasn't yet been decided and the scope of the project could still change. So we're giving you the most accurate, up-to-date information as we can give it to you. Now, the way that stands, so at this time, if we were using the old roadmap format, you actually wouldn't know anything about a Swiss route yet. So, are you reading the chat? Are you watching everybody?
No, in the sense that the old format, and it hasn't changed too much, but certainly the order of things has. So yeah.
Yeah. So yes.
We also don't want a 3-1-3 situation either. So.
No, we don't want a 3-1-3 situation either. No, because I think some lessons were learned with that previous roadmap. Certainly, when we put things on too soon. I think when Rush Hour was announced, that was too soon. There's a couple of times where we sort of got bitten, and we don't want to fall into the same mistakes. So
we try and we learn, but we can't necessarily predict the future or how things are going to go. Games development can have its ups and downs. So,
yeah, absolutely.
The one thing really that people do need to appreciate is that we only move stuff because it literally does move. So when something goes on to the roadmap in a particular order, that is the order that it is intended to function. And then if things change, because they invariably always do, then that's why the roadmap changes. So.
Mr. JMB said, quite rightly, the roadmap isn't meant to be where you announce things, and this is basically the first you've heard of it. It is, and you should expect perhaps small details coming onto the roadmap for the first time. So the very, very basics. So let's say if there was a new UK loco, we would, and don't go speculating, this is just an example. Let's say we put UK loco on there. The details of that loco will be announced separately. So the meat of the announcement will be on, say, our social channels, our news pages, or those locations. We'll put the very basic information on the roadmap, and then we will gradually fill out that information as we get it. And I've seen some people who are ever so slightly skeptical that what we currently have on the roadmap is all we currently have in planning. Which I can understand why people are skeptical, because they feel like it's not a very long list at the moment, is it, Adam? Like our list of releases is small.
Well, that's because obviously the financial year operates April through to March, so everything up to March has already been decided a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But the company is now planning the years ahead. So
absolutely, and we are definitely in that time of year, I think, where decisions are being finalized. There's a lot of decisions changing all the time. If we put something on the roadmap today that's being discussed, it could be moved by the end of the week at the rate the discussions are going. So once we get things concrete decisions, we'll start putting it on the roadmap. But we're not quite there.
And we don't want another 3-1-3.
And we don't want another 3-1-3.
That is the go-to example now. There you go.
Yeah. Actually, on that topic of we don't want another 3-1-3, can we talk about the 2-3-2?
The 3-1-3 on 2-3-2. 2-3-2, right. So, yes, there's been a lot of chatter about why the 2-3-2 is not on the roadmap. That is because the developer, Train Sim Germany, is obviously very small. and their current focus is with the BR420, which is an electric multiple unit for the Munich Augsburg DLC. And so there is no development on the 232. There are various activities going on. There are little things here and there, but the Trensim Germany, my apologies. Mike Goltz is a fantastic guy, but his focus is currently on the BR420. So, until we know that there is development on the 232 to a reasonable level, then there's no point in putting it on the roadmap.
Yep, fair enough. We were discussing this earlier, and you what was it? You said you struggled to say 232 after we were talking about the 313.
313 or the 23311. So many train numbers, your mind does go a bit numb sometimes.
And will you be working with Trensim Germany as well?
Yes, I've had some fantastic exchanges with Mike Goltz and a couple of his colleagues as well. In fact, we are growing his team, getting more access to the editor and the resources that we have. So, a fantastic guy. I look forward to more from him. The G6 was a wonderful little loco.
Yeah, I had great fun driving the G6. I don't know if you saw the stream. It was so close to a good one.
I might not have seen that one, no. But the thing I struggle with the G6 is that that pop song about the G6 helicopter.
Of course.
I wanted Mike to do a spoof video on YouTube of ripping that song off, but there we go. That's on my humour, sorry.
And then, so we've touched briefly on the movement from Horseshoe Curve. Are you able to offer a little more insight into what happened there and why it's moved down? So for anybody that's read the roadmap, you'll see that 2 weeks ago, Horseshoe Curve was quite high up on the list, and now we've moved it down. So what's gone on there, Adam?
Basically, as we were getting closer and closer to the date required for submission to Microsoft and Sony, key things like the functionality of the brake systems, the stability of the track, we had noticed there were some odd irregularities, is the word I was looking for, in areas that were causing concern. It wasn't coming together at the point we needed it to. Usually, as you get towards the end of development, the easier and easier bugs to fix disappear, and you're left with the harder and harder ones. And as that harder and harder list grew, we realised that we were then in danger of putting too much pressure on resolving those final issues, right. And we didn't want to destabilise Horseshoe Curve. It's going to be a fantastic release, and I simply had to make the call of it isn't worth the risk of continuing to push this for release. So and there is going to be an impact to Dovetail. That is a business impact, but we care about these releases, so we made that hard call, and it did get approval. Both Skyhook and Dovetail did have to agree to have that moved.
Now, movement, obviously, at this point, we don't always with the other roadmap. It wasn't always clear when something had moved the way it did. With this roadmap, it's going to be very obvious when we've moved something, because obviously we are listing it in the order we predict it'll be released. But it's not unusual, is it, for things to move like that?
No, not at all. I mean, this is the nature of video games. Pretty much, stuff comes up that you're not expecting. When we're developing a new train or a new signaling system, what you imagine is going to be the time frame for development can change quite wildly. Obviously, we have a lot of veteran staff now, where we've been doing this for a very long time, and so we have a really good idea. But at the end of the day, when you bring in something like Steam, who knows, until you start doing the work, what hurdles you might have to overcome. We have a custom version of the Unreal Engine editor because it doesn't do everything we need it to do for our train game.
And hopefully this roadmap layout will offer a little bit more insight into how that movement works.
Yes, because obviously the next things to arrive, or the sooner things, will always be to the top.
Yes. Now, speaking of the order in which we've listed things on the roadmap, I think we need to talk quite extensively about the preservation crew updates and
Mm.
just what exactly is going on with them, because obviously it's been a while now, Adam, since these were first talked about. I think it's been quite a while since you said that you'd completed the work on them, and rightfully so. The community are getting a little bit impatient with where they are. So can we talk about what's going on and why they're in the order they're in?
So pretty much we've moved away now. We completed a lot of our targets for 2021. So a lot of the upgrades now that are listed on the roadmap were all completed for Christmas.
Yep.
And that's pretty much since early December, I'd say, because we have quite a large shutdown over Christmas at Dovetail. And pretty much it's a case of now just working through getting stuff tested. So the issue we had previously is that there were only so many releases, and we were looking for separate updates compared to the release of a new route or a new train. It turns out that there aren't any more slots. We are pretty much using every slot release slot available on all of our platforms. So we do need to buddy alongside other releases. Sorry.
That's that energy drink.
Yes, I do. So yeah, now it's a case of we have so many routes to upgrade.
Yeah.
As from the list, I think there were 17. I didn't count what went onto the roadmap. But 17 releases is also a lot for the QA team and the build team to process. So I have to break that down into manageable releases.
Yeah.
So we've been looking at things like popularity, how frequently are players playing each of these routes and trains, and the list that is on the roadmap currently is in popularity order. So the most popular routes being played are at the very top, with the exception of Sandpatch Grade, I must say. And then it goes down to currently of those, not saying that they're unpopular, but just in comparison to others, the least played is currently West Somerset Railway. I'm guessing because that's the level of scope in the product that isn't as much as some of the others. But it's still a fantastic route, and the numbers are still showing great. So we do still have updates for the likes of West Somerset.
Now, for anybody looking at this order, we can say quite confidently that the reason Sandpatch Grade is at the top is because that is most likely to be coming out next.
And that's in relation to the New Journeys pack. So that's the update for that is going out with New Journeys. Cologne, the Schnellstreck Cologne update was attempted to be included in the New Journeys update. However, some of those aspects weren't ready. I am still working on a few of the areas, in particular the platform information system. And so we did pull the update to Schnellstreck Cologne from the New Journeys. So Cologne's update would have been at the top there as well, but it needs to wait its turn at the moment. But yeah, at the moment it's purely based on popularity of usage. However, we've had discussions in the community team that there are clearly more factors involved. You've got the size of the update. Some of these updates to routes are very large, where they haven't had attention previously.
This is a conversation me and you've been having the past couple of weeks, actually, isn't it? So for any of the community who are wondering, this list isn't actually set in stone. It's very likely that it will move. And like you said, some of the updates are large, some of them are small, and we've been discussing options to perhaps release a large update with some of the small ones alongside it.
Yes, basically trying to process as much as possible, but without overloading the QA team at the same time. So we're trying to work very, very hard on how can we move this forward? How can we get this stuff out? Because we've done an awful lot of passes up to July last year of the Preserve Collection, and then we've done a fantastic 17 route update between July and December last year. So we need to get this stuff out, and we do have conversations before every stream where it's another week where we haven't released anything, but it is first and foremost of what we're trying to achieve at the moment. And I am pleased to say that beyond Sandpatch Grade, the next thing that is currently in testing is the Peninsula Corridor update, and that also includes the Baby Bullet, the MP36,
Yep.
and the MP15 switcher. So according to our plan, that will be the next update.
Now, I'm just looking at a document which has the Peninsula Corridor update information in it. Do you mind if I read out what is included in that?
Yeah, go for it.
So we have updated sky, updated track, platform climbing, animated road traffic, grade crossing upgrade, platform departure boards, platform weather, night lighting improvements, rush hour passengers, scenario planner expansion, dovetail live mastery rewards, rail driver support, livery designer support, contact dispatcher in-cab functionality. Now that's quite a lot.
Yeah, so that's on the larger side for sure.
And then when we look at the smaller updates that's going alongside it for the Baby Bullet and the Switcher, that they both contain rail driver support and contact dispatcher functionality.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So that's a good example of a large update with some of the smaller ones alongside it.
Yeah, and by comparison, the Sandpatch Grade update is the functioning grade crossings.
Yes.
So that is your grade crossing upgrade. We've already done, obviously, with Transit World 2, we did a release of Sandpatch Grade, so there wasn't very much more that we needed to add to that particular route. So yeah, it's rather small in comparison.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, I guess we're at the point with this list where we are relying now on the community feedback to determine the best way to release these. Because we want to know, because I think it was mentioned the Oakville subdivision, it's been an incredibly long time waiting for this update, and the last thing we'd want to do is keep people waiting even longer or unnecessarily when the demand is there. Because
I guess we've already had them waiting unnecessarily at this stage. So yeah, it is forefront in our minds that how long it is taking to complete an upgrade or a fix or an improvement and get it out to players.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oakville is on the same level as the Peninsula Corridor upgrade. Following the summer release last year, Peninsula Corridor and Oakville Subdivision was the focus of the team. So yeah, that is another big update. However, what we're faced with is we can't put two ginormous updates through QA at the same time. So Oakville needs to move out so it's not alongside Peninsula Corridor. And then if we take into account things like ensuring that each region gets its fair share of updates, as well as the size of the updates, we're looking at potentially there could be some UK and German releases before we can get back to the cycle of a US release again. So it might be down the list at the moment, but depending on how we keep factoring the popularity of these upgrades, it may come back up further.
And I do think we need to accept that perhaps we're obviously not going to please everybody. If we move one route, we're potentially moving someone's favourite route to the bottom of the list. And someone's least favourite to the top. That's always going to happen. But we're certainly working on the best possible release schedule for this, aren't we?
Yeah, and some of the chat makes very good points. It's a Groundhog Day. It doesn't feel great to say that we haven't got any releases yet. It is very frustrating internally. So we totally understand the sentiment. We couldn't be more frustrated about the lack of releases than anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen people asking, why are these updates coming out alongside releases? Why aren't we dedicating specific update slots just to the preservation stuff?
Pretty much because our release schedule is already so busy. We have to release on 7 platforms that we can't get anything else across to Sony or Microsoft that the teams can't process anymore. So we have a what we call a core update to support a release that comes out if any new tech has gone out or if any adjustments need to be made. Things like trophies and achievements and localization. And what we can do is we can piggyback the preservation crew updates into that core release, and then that comes out generally a few days before a new route or a new train is released. But yeah, there are literally no other slots left. We have to work with the slots that we've got.
Yeah,
And we do work sometimes with a slot every single week. And
we
if you
do.
think about having to prep stuff 4 weeks in advance, we're then running this constant leapfrogging arrangement. So we're very busy.
Yeah, I think it's noticeable how quickly we can get stuff out when we've got a busy release schedule. I think the question about how often we release preserved stuff after that is basically if we're capable of updating that much stuff in that space of time, why can't we keep up that momentum even if we're not releasing something? I believe is where the train of thought comes from.
So this actually also comes back to a question I saw about why don't we have dedicated QA and testing teams per franchise, per trains, fishing, and so forth. That's because we have one QA team because there will be downtime. I say there will be downtime compared to what I've just said. There would be downtime between developments and releases on any particular franchise. So we have one team because they do move from fishing to trains to Train Sim 2022 and back again. So yeah, and we're also promoting an awful lot. We're getting some fantastically skilled staff at Dovetail, and they want to work directly on the software. So actually, we do have situations where we are low on the number of testing staff. I am actually also scheduling the preservation crew. So that's Martin, Adam, and Jake. We also now have Ryan to do some of the testing with QA as well. So we are redirecting some of our resources instead of doing yet more fixes and improvements. Let's just work with what we've got and get it processed. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, when you're talking about what the preservation crew are currently doing, you've mentioned that you've redirected them towards QA. That's obviously not going to be a long-term mission for the preservation crew this year. Or is it? What is your goal for the preservation crew this year? What are you hoping to achieve? Because obviously you've brought a lot of these routes up to date. You've added all of the new features. But the community are explaining that some of the routes still have long-lasting bugs. They have issues that are really quite irritating, not necessarily game-breaking, but just some really immersion-breaking issues. Is this something that the preservation crew still wants to tackle, or do you have a different mission?
No, 100%. That is still going to be our ultimate focus. I mean, the number one goal is just to release everything we've already done.
Yep.
So there is an element of slowing down on the new things that we do, just so that we can focus on everything we already have done. So yeah, that's number one goal. Beyond that, obviously we now share our time with supporting third parties.
Yep.
So we want to see, I'd really like to see a marked increase in the quality of third party releases. They do already do fantastic stuff, but I think we can still take them up a little bit further.
Yep.
So we're obviously going to be spending time with them. And we're still doing things like the mastery for Dovetail Live and working with them on new rewards and ways that we can put more gameplay into the older routes to drive that initiative as well. So alongside all of those, we're then going to be looking at what are the most talked about community issues. But the issue there is that some of the most talked about are more core related and not areas of the software that we can work on. So,
yes.
For instance, the PS5,
can we talk about that?
The PS5 limitations that have been obviously talked about recently, performance issues on some routes where it's actually the core software that needs to be improved.
Are you, for example, able to fix the Lord Winter said the London commuter has traffic signal issues on one of the timetable runs? Would that fall under your remit?
So that has been discussed recently, and actually for the time being, the main team have more experience with the development of that route and how it works than we do. So we are leaving that with the main team to resolve for now.
Yep.
If it's still going on and they simply can't dedicate the resources needed, and that it will switch over. But for now, because they are closer to the project than we are, and there are other things like the LGV route and Glasgow Cathcart,
Yep.
and other stuff in the preserve collection that we haven't yet got to, Southeastern high speed.
Yep.
Then for now, we're not focusing on routes that are that new.
Are you eventually going to look at those routes? Because I believe there's quite a lot of requests for updates to Clinchfield, for example.
Yes, absolutely. So at the moment, we have been entirely focused on everything that was pre-Train Sim World 2's release. So that is July 2020.
Yeah.
But yeah, beyond that, once we don't want to take on any more until we've obviously released everything we've done. But yeah, if you imagine the preservation crew is about 12 months to 18 months behind the main team in terms of the projects that they're working on, then we will always be there supporting and assisting.
I know that we've been working closely lately, Adam, together with customer support to try and determine how to tackle some of the most impactful community issues that fall under your remit. Now, when they do, how do you intend on addressing these issues?
Well, there'd be no real difference in the way we already do things, but what we need to solve is the ability to turn around that fix or improvement. So there's no point at the moment in us trying to take on those particular issues, even though we are exchanging and we're aware of what the pulse is with the community. Until we can get the releases and the updates and the improvements that we have already created out, then it would be inappropriate to cherry pick a few of the current issues, fix those and get them straight out again, because it'd be like, well, what about everything you've already done? So there is a bit of a backlog, a bit of a queue going on. But yeah, we will get to those as soon as we can. And we'd like to be a lot more reactive and be able to turn things around a lot faster. And I know that from the discussions we've had and obviously things we've said about having too many routes to update, that having smaller, quicker fixes is definitely something Dovetail would prefer in its build schedules. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, things will improve. But obviously, until we start showing improvement, it's just me talking.
Yeah. Now, is this the kind of thing where once you actually start doing work, you're going to begin adding it to the roadmap? Because obviously the preservation crew stuff on the roadmap at the moment is stuff everybody's already seen for a very, very long time. My question is, when are we going to start seeing something new from you guys on there?
Well, speaking of new, funnily enough, some of the stuff we've been doing since we completed our targets before Christmas is the new Journeys pack. So we created the 3 new trains that come with that pack. The Heritage 72 stock, the Heritage SD40, and the Cologne S-Bahn trains. They were actually from our team. We also created the anniversary livery, the ACS 64 that has gone out recently.
That's awesome. But my question here is, you're the preservation crew. What are you doing working on something current?
Well, they were kind of side projects, really, again, because we had come to the completion of the targets and the projects that we were working on, and the main team is working on its releases as it goes through, and third parties are working on their releases. We were the next team that had the capacity to provide support on those. So it made sense. They were little things that we did over the Christmas period and into January. So, yeah, that's really part of the preservation crew's remit, is to be that extra capacity to support wherever's needed. Yeah. We have spent a lot of time with Skyhook recently, and that obviously culminated in the decision to push the route back further. So yeah, these are the kinds of things that my team is skilled to provide.
Yeah. Now, Liam Eds has asked, how do the smaller releases fit into the console windows? So when we release something, how does it work?
Effectively, it piggybacks. So if there is a supporting release to a new route coming out, where we would prepare the software a few days before, the fix would go into that little push that we're sending out to the various consoles and the platforms. So obviously, if you think PC console, well, actually it's Epic Games Store and Steam. They are 2 completely different platforms, even though they're on PC. So yeah, we basically piggyback these changes into those core updates that occur a couple of days before.
when we look at the list of upgrades you still need to make and all of the different routes, I think you've mentioned that obviously we're trying to bundle them together where we can.
Hmm.
But currently, let's say we didn't, and you put them out with every release. That would require 17 releases before it all gets updated.
Mm.
What are you going to do? Is that something that you're prepared to do, or are you going to be?
No.
Go on.
Yeah, no, we'd much rather, where we touched on earlier, we'd much rather do things like a UK-centric release and a German-centric release. Obviously, at the moment, we're working on a US-centric one, so we're trying to process all of the Peninsula Corridor related to routes and trains. So, yeah, we want to try and go through that cycle. No, I'm currently targeting 6 releases. But at the end of the day, it's all about what our QA team can process. And they have their priorities that are given by Dovetail, and so I need to get round the table with Dovetail.
Yeah.
Getting the move between just being the preservation crew and now supporting third parties means that we do have a bigger slice of the pie at Dovetail, and so I'm in a few conversations that Matt Puddleston's obviously involved in as well, so I'm able to get a voice in there.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it is a case of getting permission from Dovetail about what happens in what order.
Yep. And somebody has rightfully said the order we've currently got it in is obviously the order of popularity.
Yeah, pretty much straight up just popularity.
Yes, and quite rightly, some of them are going to be popular because you've already updated them, Adam.
Yes, that was a fantastic thing to see, and I definitely passed that data straight on to my team. There was a little graph that basically showed the popularity levels, and to see things like East Coastway currently being more popular than the London commuter route did make us very pleased, especially with the changes we've made to it. And West Somerset, while it's not very far up the list at the moment, it is still proving a popular one, and we've got things like the new platform departure boards coming out for that, and our secret little Dovetail over Mastery challenge or Mastery reward for that. So yeah, almost everything in that list has something exciting coming with it.
So yeah, like we said, this list, the list is on the roadmap as it currently stands, is very much subject to change. So do not be surprised if you see that changing by the next roadmap. Like we said, it's very much just a list of popularity at the moment.
Yeah.
But we're looking for the best way of releasing it.
Yeah.
Now,
so feedback as well. I mean,
feedback.
Show your popularity. Show what's show which ones you'd most like to see. Maybe post your own order on the forum, and let's have a look at those.
Yeah, I'd love to know what order everybody would like to see it in, but I'd also like to know why. Why do you want it in that order? So yeah, that would be excellent. Looking forward to reading the feedback on that.
Yeah, I mean, talking of some of that, then, is this the right time to show some screenshots?
Well, I think it is. Talking of feedback, and everybody likes a few screenshots. I'm sure the chat will like to see some screenshots. Now,
because I like to prove that the things we say we've done, we have actually done.
Now, what are we actually going to be showing everybody tonight, Adam?
I don't know what key you got up. So if you want to just post up the first set of screenshots, and
let's go.
We'll
let's go into the images. And there we go.
Cool. Okay, so this is some of the Great Western Express updates. What we've done is taken the default containers. We've now finally started putting branded ones on. So really pleased that we're now finally taking the branded containers and putting those onto Great Western. I think if you go to the next one, there's another shot.
Yeah, before you go into the next one, these will not be uploaded into an article, Hentis. These are just for the stream, so I'm sure somebody will be screenshotting them as we speak. So on to the next one.
Cool. So this one, this is rather a good one. This is recent. This shows the Rapid Transit BR1442, surprisingly enough, at Glasgow Shields. Not Shields, Glasgow Central. I have to apologise, I don't know why I said that. Glasgow Central Station. So this is showing the on-train customer information system, and the way that it works is that the new system we use, whatever route the train is placed on, the system picks up what stations are available on that route, and allows them to be chosen for display. So this one is obviously showing Pollock Shields West, even though it's a German train based out of Leipzig. So that's a pretty cool shot there. That's
cool.
Loading passengers.
On to the next one.
Yep. This one is showing. This was one I did beforehand, actually. This one is showing the same train, the BR1442 from Rapid Transit, but this is on the Narvik-Dresden route. Mm-hmm. So this is showing that, yeah, it picks up any station that's there, and you can display it, you can choose it. There is one final image that should be of the cab of this train.
And the next one is actually something else again.
Cool. So this is, we showed a number of work in progress shots sporadically on previous roadmaps. This one, let's see if how quickly the chat can work out where this screenshot is taken from.
I give them like 5 seconds to figure it out.
But this is something that the preservation crew has been working on. We really care about is the Dovetail Live Mastery Rewards, and what we can potentially do with those rewards. So yeah, this gives a kind of idea of something we've been working on, and potentially similar ideas that we might try in the future. But yeah, this gives an idea of something that's coming out. I have seen a few. Yeah, they have guessed it is Finn and Trop in the background, and yeah, that is something to come in one of the updates.
Okay, looking forward to that.
So yeah, here's another shot of a freight train departing Reading on the Great Western Express route. It's also worth noting, actually, on this particular area, there was a very annoying bug that we spent a lot of time trying to track down, and that is, as you're departing this station, there seemed to be an area of darkness you would pass through. It'd be like this overarching shadow would appear as you departed Reading Station, or if you were approaching it. And we're pleased to say that alongside fixing the lighting and the improved skies and the track rendering, we have now squashed that bug where the weird darkness comes in on Paddington Reading.
Is there one more?
Yeah, keep going through.
Ooh.
Should be a couple more. So this one is the inside cab of the Rapid Transit BR1442. So this is the screens that you would use to select which station you want to choose. I think this is actually based on Rapid Transit itself. So this is the Leipzig S-Bahn route. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm just scrolling through there and selecting which destination I want. It's based on the available stations, so any station that can appear on the platform departure boards are also able to appear on the train departures as well, the train destinations. So so here you can see there are many locations that are not, they're beyond the bounds of the Rapid Transit route, but they're still selectable as destinations, so that's pretty cool.
Excellent.
And the final one, so this one is very heavy, still work in progress, but I think we may have shown the CRT monitors previously, and this is them now. They've started to appear on the route. This is Tees Valley Line, incidentally, and we're at Darlington Station here. And we decided to take a different approach with how this platform departure board worked. Instead of just showing the next release, the next departure from a platform.
You're speaking dev.
too many times. Yes, so this one, what we wanted to do on these ones is show every departure for a period of time from every platform. Now, what you'll be able to see very quickly is that they're actually sorted by platform at the moment, and they need to be ordered by time. So, and obviously there's only 4 on the list where there needs to be a whole screen. So yeah, that gives an idea. This has started to be up and running. And we're just working out those kinks of why isn't it showing things, why isn't it populating the entire screen. I think we didn't give enough direction to the programmer that made the adjustments for us, and yeah, it's currently sorted by platform where it needs to be sorted by time.
Dean
yeah, that gives
McGregor
you an idea
says
of
it
what's
looks too clean.
Yes, that is true. Actually, yeah, we need to add some grime to
Yes,
those monitors.
absolutely. So
Cool.
look, we've had a really good chat about stuff tonight that I think the community already kind of knew when it came to releases. I think at this point, everybody's been so patient waiting for these updates, and essentially we just need to release them, don't we?
Yes, yeah. So
Oh,
the grade crossings for Sandpatch Grade, I believe are going out with the new Journeys release. So that should be pretty cool. And yeah, I just noticed some people mentioning London Midland or Josh's
yeah,
Sky improvements. I can confirm that has now passed into the software. I worked very closely with him for a lot longer than I think we wanted to. It has taken longer than we desired for that to work through, but yeah, that update, that community mod has now been implemented. We did make a few adjustments to it following discovery of what we refer to as the Eye of the Hurricane effect that impacted one or two weather patterns. But again, we worked really close with Josh about anything we could do with it. And in the end, we decided that a fix was better to be done per route than to try and resolve the Eye of the Hurricane in a different manner. So yeah, that has now passed into the software, and I hope to see it soon. It is a very simple change to make. So yeah, I don't entirely know when it's going to come out, but I hope it is soon.
yeah. So look, thanks for talking to us tonight, Adam, about where we're at. And like I said, I appreciate how patient the players are with this. I appreciate all the feedback we get. You know, we understand everybody just wants these to be released. And we do too. You know, I'm sure you do, Adam. You've put all that work in, and it's probably mighty frustrating for you as well, not seeing them all out there and everybody enjoying it.
Yeah, no. We want them out more than anybody else does, I can tell you that.
Yeah. So we will continue to work on getting that perfect release order. Well, we say perfect, the optimal release order, shall we say?
Yeah, and even if stuff starts coming out, the order can continue to change. So we'll see how it goes. We're trying to be as dynamic as possible to ensure stuff can come out as soon as it can come out.
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely one thing that you can expect to see on the new layout of the roadmap, which is lots of movement as things develop and as we get closer to releasing them.
Yeah.
Liam Edson said, is the rapid transit upgrade also coming with new journeys?
No, the only one I'm aware of is the grade crossings for Sandpatch Grade.
Yeah, that is all I'm currently aware of. But if anything moves, I'm sure we'd let you know. Yeah.
Yes. Definitely.
Now, is there anything else you'd like to say for tonight, Adam?
No, I think we've covered everything. I'm sure people don't want me to drone on about all the wonderful things we have been doing that nobody else can see. I do apologise. So yeah, just been looking at the questions, but I think we've been covering pretty much everything people are talking about. Yeah. So yeah, let's go on.
There have been a couple of questions about the 1442. Some people saying it's the PZB is broken.
So to my understanding, the mode was wrong, and the button to control it might not have been accessible. We have got that fixed. That is in the Rapid Transit update. We're just trying to arrange when we can get those stuff out. So unfortunately, it's in the same queue as all the other updates. And yeah, if we put one update ahead of another, then whichever one isn't coming out next is going to upset somebody. So yeah, there are so many things that we've got to release that we can't please everyone, I'm afraid.
Yeah. But it has been worked on.
It has been completed. It is confirmed, at least by my team, that it is fixed, and we have seen it. Our internal beta team have confirmed that it's fixed. It's now just waiting for the sign off and the seal of approval.
Yeah. So thank you for joining me tonight, Adam. I will ask the community, please give me your feedback. I will be looking out on the forums. I'd like to know what you think of the current preservation crew order of releases. If you would like to see it changed, if you have a preferred order for yourself, let me know why. Even if there is only one route in particular you'd like to see higher up on the list, tell me why you want to see that route higher up on the list. Yeah. What is it about it that makes you want that higher? I'm not going to guarantee that if you make a forum thread, your favorite route will definitely soar to the top. But I would like to see the feedback from everyone.
Yeah, there are so many ways we can slice the pie that we kind of need a majority view about which way we should slice it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know when you're next on the stream, actually, Adam.
It's usually every 2 weeks.
It's usually every 2
weeks. If you'll let me on sooner, like for a 4-up challenge or something, then I'm always up for it.
Yeah, when you make disgusting liveries.
If there was a Japanese livery, you can't say that. You'll have to wait and see what I do next.
It looked like a chewing gum wrapper.
It did, actually, yeah. It did look like Wrigley's, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, and thank you to everybody in the chat, and I will see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye.